Hello friends, looking at current affairs for 23rd May, the news items picked up from the Hindu newspaper are these 16. We'll look at them in detail. The first one, social boycott for triple talaq. So All India Muslim Personal Law Board has conveyed to the Supreme Court that it has passed this resolution in which it has stated that anybody who performs instant triple talaq would be socially boycotted. So steps are being taken. The stand of the board is that we will internally reform our religion so that there is no intervention of the government and the Supreme Court desire. So this is the latest development here. Next is ex-coal secretary gets 2 years in jail. So this is regarding the coal scam case. We had discussed this few days back too. So that was when the CBI court had convicted the coal secretary and others involved. Now the sentence has also been pronounced. So it has been announced that there will be 2-year jail term for these bureaucrats. So Mr. H.C. Gupta, the former coal secretary, has also been sentenced. So the conviction has been for conspiracy, criminal conspiracy, cheating under IPC, Indian Penal Code, and for corruption under the Prevention of Corruption Act. So this is the whole background. You should know about the coal scam, how it all unfolded. It was in 2012 when the CAG audit report accused the government of inefficient allocation of coal blocks from 2004 to 2009. So this, it said that since allocation was done not by bidding, it resulted in the government suffering huge amount of money. Could have come to the exchequer, but it did not, and the private sector and the PSUs involved, they made a gain of around 1.86 lakh crores. So this was the CAG estimate. Then Prime Minister Manmohan Singh gave the statement that he would give up his public life if he is found guilty because coal ministry was under him. So whether the coal ministry is liable or the coal secretary is another question which came forth. Then the Central Vigilance Commission also directed a CBI inquiry, and presently what we saw is the CBI has given its verdict in this case. A PIL had been put forth in the Supreme Court also seeking cancellation of all the 194 coal blocks allotted in this process. So Supreme Court had actually given its judgment in 2014 and quashed the allocation of more than 194, around 214 coal blocks allocation was quashed. So this is the status presently too. Charges were framed and now the latest report is that he has been convicted and will be in prison. So the coal minister, Mr. Manmohan Singh, then coal minister, has been given a clean chit by the CBI court as such. Next is NGT asks for data on trees near Taj Mahal. So National Green Tribunal has directed the Divisional Commissioner of Agra to provide information on trees planted in the eco-sensitive TTZ, Taj Trapezium Zone, near the historic Taj Mahal. So this Taj Trapezium Zone is a huge area of around 10,400 square kilometers, also having other prominent monuments, protected monuments under it, including 3 other World Heritage Sites. 3 means including Taj Mahal, Agra Fort and Fatehpur Sikri. So this is a huge area. It has been put under, this zone has been specifically designated by the Supreme Court. Also orders have come forth that the industries here should not cause pollution because the Taj would be affected, World Heritage Sites are affected. So industries which are located in this TTZ are not allowed to use coal or coke as such. So steps are taken to regulate this region. Presently, NGT is asking for how many trees have been planted here because there were reports in the media that illegally 4,000 trees fell in this region. So this is the news. So it had taken suo motu cognizance of this case. Next is from green to yellow revolution. So this is regarding canola. So canola is the international trade name for mustard. Mustard carrying lower levels of erucic acid. So erucic acid less than 2% is called canola. So this is considered the healthiest option as such. So this canola has a huge demand in the Indian market as well, and we import canola every year. So what the agricultural scientists are emphasizing on is that Punjab can grow this canola and the current account deficit also because of high imports can also be checked. So this is called as yellow revolution. So oil seeds being grown in the country because Punjab can become the canola hub of the country. So this is being shown here. This is also specifically important because GM mustard is in news presently too. We have already seen it. GESC, Genetic Engineering Approval Committee, has already given its approval to it. the Genetic Engineering Approval Committee, and the Environment Ministry's final assent is required to make it go ahead. So this is there. So mustard farming, one more point put is that it is much more labor intensive because of weeding which happens during harvesting. So this is also a point. But then in Punjab, this would help in diversification too, because crop diversification is important. Otherwise, the soil, it does not remain fertile. So this is a concern in Punjab too. So crop diversification with canola will also be beneficial to the state. So here this is being put forth now, because what Punjab has been growing even during the Rabi season, it is wheat that they grow, and they're reluctant to adopt other crops. So issue of course with canola would be that government should facilitate it. They should have assured markets, low risk factors. So if these things are in place, then they can also go ahead and adopt this crop. Next is 40 H1N1 deaths in 4 months. So this is the news from Kerala. In many parts of Kerala now, H1N1 influenza, which was earlier known with the 2009 outbreak, was known as swine flu. So this has struck again here. There have been 40 deaths because of H1N1 influenza here in Kerala. So even the government is being targeted for failing to handle this crisis too. So this is the news. Here you can see swine flu. So swine pig are the carrier of these viruses as such. And through them, it's human to human transmission through, inhaling the viral particles during coughing, sneezing, that these spread to the other person. And it may cause death too. Next is 220 deer died on IITM campus in 2 years. So this is regarding IIT Madras. So in IIT Madras has a huge campus of around 236 acres, which was earlier part of the Guindy National Park too. So here there are many species organisms found, and an RTI which was done into IIT Madras, from that response it came to be known that in the last 2 years 222 deer and 8 black bucks have died. So this is what has come forth. Black buck is a Schedule 1 species under Indian Wildlife Act. Means it is an endangered species which has to be protected, and they are dying in this campus here. So this has come forth. Next is cobra lily blooms after 84 years. So this cobra lily found in India, this is endemic to Western Nilgiris. It's called Erythema translucens. So this has this translucence, it glows. So this was last collected in 1932. After that it has not been found, but now the enthusiasts, the floral enthusiasts, they have found this species here in Western Nilgiris. So it is endemic and present in only a very small region, around 10 square kilometers in Nilgiris, and few hundred cobra lily plants are presently left in the wild. So this discovery had been done, and this is very much known to the Toda tribals who live in the Nilgiris here. They can look at its bloom and also say when the rainfall would come as such too. So this is this at the risk of extinction, which has been highlighted here. Also, one of the reasons why it has vanished in the past decade is because of disappearance of the shola tree patches with which they are found, as such. So this is there, the translucence cobra lily as it is called. Then the next news item is big boost for Bhim Army. So this is Bhim Army Ekta mission. This has come in news because of the atrocities against the Dalits alleged in Saharanpur district in UP. So here this organization is leading the protest. They had also organized a protest at Jantar Mantar against the Dalit atrocities here, and they got a huge response unexpectedly, because this is an organization majorly working in the remote areas. Its sole aim is to empower Dalits through education. It was established in July 2015, but after a recent incident of altercations between the Dalits and the Thakurs in the village, the issue has flared up. It's mentioned here, it runs around 300 schools in Saharanpur and the districts in its vicinity. So you should know Bhim Army, it has been in news. The next is Modi launches new projects in Kutch. So Prime Minister Narendra Modi is in Gujarat. He laid the foundation for developing new facilities at Kandla Port too. So this Kandla port is the largest cargo handling port in the country too. It was also proposed that this port would soon be connected to Chabahar port. Chabahar port is in Iran, which has been developed with Indian participation. So this will boost international trade for the country. Also a suggestion put forth was that the Kandla port can be renamed after Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhyay, because the centenary celebrations of this leader is also been celebrated by BJP and RSS. So he was a BJP RSS member, which you can see here is 1916 to 1968. So he is not a freedom fighter as such. He was associated with RSS. He was one of the leading members of Bharatiya Janata Sangh too, which was succeeded by Bharatiya Janata Party, the BJP. And he has put forth his political philosophy of integral humanism. So this means simultaneous and integrated program of the body, mind and soul. So it means synthesis of material and spiritual to individual and collective also. So that is integral humanism. He advocated self-reliant economy with village as the base. He also advocated the reforms as such, land reforms which were undertaken as well. So he died under unexpected circumstances. He was found dead in 1960 at Mughal Sarai railway yard. So this death is under mystery still. The next news item is no room for India yet in NSG. So now China has again given its statement on nuclear suppliers group. So NSG membership has an issue which is going on for long now. So NSG last year meeting took place in 2016. It was in news. Again NSG meet would take place in June 2017 in Bern, Switzerland. So again it has come up in news. NSG is nuclear suppliers group. So this is a grouping of 48 nations which regulates nuclear supplies, nuclear trade as such. So it's an export control regime basically. So this NSG membership is sought by India. So after India-US nuclear deal, we have been given de facto status as a member of NSG, but we want to be formally inducted into this group, and the country which is opposing a membership is China. So this is a 48 nation grouping, and a membership can be acquired if each of these nations agrees. And one major nation which is opposing our entry to NSG is China. And the reason which China is putting forth is that India is not a signatory to NPT, Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. So China says that there should be a two-stage process. First of all, deciding about if there is a member, if there is a nation who has not signed NPT, then what should be the procedure for it to acquire NSG membership. And second stage should be when country-specific discussion can take place on membership. So this is what it is proposing. What China intends to do is not just India, but Pakistan should also become member of NSG is what it is seeking. So India has not signed NPT. What is NPT to? Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. Why have we not signed this treaty? Because it is a discriminatory treaty. What it does, it divides nations into two categories: nuclear weapon states and non-nuclear weapon states. And recognized nuclear weapon states are only 5: USA, UK, France, China and Russia. So India, Pakistan, we have acquired nuclear weapons, but these nations are not recognized as nuclear weapon states, and Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty has different provisions for nuclear weapon and non-nuclear weapon states. That's why we call this treaty a discriminatory treaty and refuse to sign it. Pakistan has also not signed it. So this is the status. Even one more thing is NSG was also formed after India conducted its nuclear tests. As response to India's nuclear test in Pokhran in 1974, NSG was formed and formally established in 1975. So this is the case. So it's an export control regime putting more restrictions on nuclear supplies as such too, because it can be used to develop nuclear weapons as well. So this is the status so far. India says that this is only an export control regime, not a non-proliferation regime. So it should not look into that matter whether a country has signed NPT or not. That should not be the criteria for induction of new members. So it gives an example to France was inducted as a member of NSG though it had not signed NPT yet. So this example is also put forth by India to prove its point. So this is shown here. The NSG members, the 48 nations are also shown in blue. So it's a 48 nation grouping to regulate trade in nuclear equipments and technology. So we want to be a member here, though we have de facto membership as such. So formally we need to be inducted because it will give us a status as a nuclear supplier too. So we can expand our civil nuclear sector too. We will get special waiver to conduct nuclear trade as already there with us after the US nuclear deal. So this will formalize it. And China's opposition we just discussed. So this is there. So consensus is difficult. That is why our membership is stuck. Then next is Pradhan seeks discount on oil. So this is Petroleum Minister, Mr. Dharmendra Pradhan. He has asked OPEC nations, OPEC, Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, that they should remove this Asian premium on crude oil supplied to India and Asian buyers. So Asian buyers of oil have to pay an extra amount. This is called Asian premium. So the Indian Petroleum Minister is arguing that rather than an Asian premium, you should give us a discount, an Asian dividend, because we are surely buying oil from you too, plus the fast growing Indian market requires more oil to be procured, and we have been paying regularly on time too. So for that we should get an Asian dividend rather than this Asian premium. So for years now Western buyers are being subsidized at the cost of Asian buyers. So this has to be changed. This is being demanded by India. So OPEC also, you should know, Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries. So this is a cartel. They decide the price of petrol, crude oil as such, to how much should we produce. So the basic idea is, it is prices are market regulated, but then the demand and the supply as such regulate the prices in the market. So demand supply is controlled by them. So how much should they produce? That is mandated by the grouping to each of these nations. So the member nations involved here, you can see, are these. There are 13 nations in part of OPEC. Here you can see the Middle East nations are there, African nations 4, and even 2 from South America. So these are OPEC members. Indonesia was earlier a member, but now it is not an oil supplier as such. It cannot produce that much oil, so it has been out of the grouping. The next is Japan looks back at a war theater. So yesterday we saw Japanese ambassador spoke of establishing a museum, a war museum as such, in lieu of Japanese soldiers who had died here in India during the Second World War in 1944 in Manipur and Nagaland. So here now another issue which has cropped up and has been highlighted is when the Japanese invaded India. At that time, many atrocities were committed by these soldiers against the Indians. So this is also an issue which cannot be, overlooked as such. So though INA was also present along with the Japanese soldiers, even INA was looked down upon by the Japanese soldiers. That is also historically known. So this issue has also been picked up, and the Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe has earlier already apologized. An apology of sorts has already been given of the actions of the Japanese army there. So this is apology also mentioned here, you can see. So earlier actually Japan was not keen on such a memorial as such. It was cautious because Japan was with the Axis powers. It had aligned with Hitler's Germany and Mussolini's Italy during the World War against the Allied powers. So it was part of the Axis powers. So that is why it was not very keen on memorializing the soldiers as such, the Japanese soldiers. But now in recent years, Japanese politics has taken a nationalist turn, and recognition for the soldiers who fought against the Allied powers has resurfaced again, and this museum demand being made, request being made in India also has come up. So this is the news here. Then the next news item is Army set to get 11 Apache helicopters. So these Apache helicopters are of US. So these helicopters have, and even Chinook helicopters. So Apache are attack helicopters and Chinook are heavy lift helicopters, both from US. So we have signed this $3 billion deal with USA under the Foreign Military Sales Program. So this will be acquired. The issue here is an internal issue because Army has demanded Apache helicopters, which Indian Air Force is not keen that Army should be provided with, because it says this would undermine the Air Force. Why the Army should have an air wing? So Air Force is already there for it, but Army has been keen on acquiring these attack helicopters, and the Defense Acquisition Council headed by Defense Minister, it has actually approved. Army had asked for 22 attack helicopters, but instead of that 11 Apache helicopters have now been provided. 22 helicopters would be provided to Air Force, but few have been provided to Army also. So this is the present news. Even Rudra helicopters, which are indigenously developed by Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, they have also been ordered for the Army and the Air Force. So this is news. Rudra is also a modified or armed version of Dhruv, the helicopter developed by Hall. So here you can see weaponized variant of the advanced light helicopter. So this advanced light helicopter is Dhruv. Then next is RBI outlines action plan for resolving stressed loans. So RBI has brought out its action plan for resolving the stressed loans now. So already the insolvency and bankruptcy code has been passed by the parliament and put into effect. So now RBI is speaking about possibility of having a credit rating done. So insolvency and bankruptcy, such resolution cases which have come forth, so they have to be rated. A credit rating assignment has to be done. So this will determine the credit rating would be done, and also to ensure that there is no conflict of interest, the credit rating is also being proposed to be done by us, RBI itself. So this would be done so that otherwise rating shopping may also start, that they would want a better rating, so credit rating agencies would be tried to be influenced. So to ensure that no such bias comes in, RBI will undertake this credit rating is envisaged now. So after this also, the what steps need to be taken have to be decided. So the oversight committee which is in place, this would also be expanded, have more members, and then they would look into all these cases. There are huge volume of cases on this matter on insolvency too. So then these will be looked into and actions would be taken. So this has been proposed as such an action plan prepared by RBI. The next news item is smallest nation joins Solar Alliance. So this is International Solar Alliance, which was proposed by India in 2015 at COP21 of UN Framework Convention on Climate Change. So this in November 2015, after being proposed, many nations have joined it and some of them have ratified it too. Presently, the news is that the smallest nation, this is Nauru, an isolated small tiny island nation, has become the 6th country to ratify International Solar Alliance framework. So this is a country which is close to the equator. The 30% of this country's needs are presently met through solar power installations, and it aims to have 50% of its energy production through renewable sources by 2020. So International Solar Alliance was also proposed to be established so that countries in the tropical region, they can come together, have a common objective and fruitfully utilize solar energy. So cooperation on this matter is what was sought, and this is what it is proposed to do. Also, it will function, the headquarter of International Solar Alliance would be in India at the National Institute of Solar Energy in Gurgaon. So this will be from where it would function. So countries located fully or partly between Tropic of Cancer and Capricorn were asked to join, but then it is open to any country. More than 120 countries, around 121 countries have joined the International Solar Alliance. So they can cooperate on training, building institutions, regulatory issues, common standards. Even World Bank has come forward and provided loans, credit as such to them as to this the International Solar Alliance as well. India has also earmarked around $2 billion to finance solar projects in Africa. So presently, African Development Bank meeting also take place in India, in Gujarat. So here also, it is expected that around 5 African nations would also join the International Solar Alliance. So India is also taking the lead in this matter. Then the last news item is India becomes second largest steel producer. So India has overtaken Japan and now it has become the second largest steel producer after China for the year 2016. So this stainless steel production has got a boost in the country, and this is news. So these are the news items. Thank you.